thought I got the deal of a lifetime when I bought this Land Cruiser for $2,000. But sometimes good deals aren't always what they seem. Oh no! And unfortunately, when we tested for compression, we got some very bad news. Oh, stop! Oh my God. So unfortunately today, we have to take the cylinder head off to see what is going on inside this engine. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've been pretty lucky on Facebook Marketplace over the past few years. I've copped some huge wins, and I guess it was finally time to take a loss. But at the moment, with all the work I've done to the car, I'm committed to saving this absolutely horrible example of an 80 series Land Cruiser and making it great again. So we need to take the head off because the compression is low. It's most likely the valves, but who knows? We'll soon find out when we remove the head. So this is a 1FZ FE, and according to the kilometers on the dashboard, it has done 285,000 kilometers, which is definitely very low for a Land Cruiser. There's a lot for sale on Marketplace that have done like 500,000 kilometers, and it doesn't really make sense that the engine would go unless it was ran on gas. In your typical petrol car, the fuel lubricates the valves and cools everything down, whereas LPG is a very dry fuel and it doesn't lubricate the same, and it also burns very hot. So over time, this can reduce the valve sealings, cause compression loss, and eventually it leads to misfires or burnt out valves. I reckon after doing some research, we definitely probably have some burnt out valves. It's very common. We've asked a few of our mechanic mates, including Nathan, who's also a mechanic. Everyone reckons that the valves are probably burnt out because this thing has been running on gas. Now, we don't really know if the previous owner was telling the truth or not about a lot of things, but we can conclude that the car was definitely running mostly on gas, as when we pulled the injectors, they looked like this. I've never seen injectors this bad before. And this is very common in these cars, and you end up in a situation like this. And because this engine is hauling a massive car, it's gonna put a lot of load and stress on the engine. So we're just gonna start taking this thing apart and hope to God that it's the valves and it's not the bottom end. Yeah! I'm gonna take you for a ride. So it was time to take off the cylinder head and see what was going on. The compression test could mean that the bottom end is bad too, but I'm trusting in the process that it's just the valves and I'll be able to recondition the head and call it a day. Anyway, I started by not taking any chances and lubricating all of the exhaust bolts, as the exhaust needed to come off. These have a high chance of stripping into the engine, so I applied a lot of lube. Exhaust manifold is now loose. See if it comes off nice and easy. Turns out there was one more bolt underneath. So there's one more bolt holding in the exhaust. It's just up there. It's connected to the bell housing, and then we should be able to pull the headers to the side. And just like that, we got the exhaust manifold off. There was then this coolant line that was bolted to the head that needed to come off, as it was bolted to the thermostat housing on the bottom of the block. Luckily, nothing here was actually that rusty and everything came off easily, and it definitely made a bit of a mess. Oh, there she comes!
It's a drinking fountain. How much money for you to lay under there and drink it?
1 month's rent.
1 month's rent. It's pretty cheap.
Making some pretty killer progress. We've already just removed the hot side. Everything's off on this side. Now we're going to pay our attention to the harder side, which is the intake side. Now, before we continue working on the worst Land Cruiser ever, we need to talk about today's video sponsor, Carly. Now, as you guys know, Imran and I, we daily German cars. Now, Imran, of course, has a Golf R, and we're gonna plug in this Carly scanner and see what we can do with it. But essentially, this Carly scanner allows us to clear engine codes and also do some light coding, because sometimes when you install new things on these European cars, you actually have to code them in. So let's see if we've got any engine problems on this thing.
Wish us luck, wish us luck.
The Carly scanner is a great way to diagnose issues on all sorts of cars. It's as simple as plugging it into your OBD2 port, connecting to it on your phone, and then you have full access to coding, diagnosing issues, and some other cool features. So we're all connected up now. We're gonna click connect. Look, we're hacking in.
We're hacking in.
You nervous, man?
This is scary, bro.
Apparently, found 3 issues and it says 20 ECUs identified.
What?
20 ECUs, all right. So we have an air conditioning fault, instrument cluster fault, but that's about it. So the air conditioning fault makes sense because Imran doesn't have any gas in his AC system, so that definitely needs to be fixed. So this is the cool thing. You can actually unlock hidden features with the Kali scanner. So we're gonna go to coding, check coding possibilities. So look at this. We've got a seatbelt reminder. Does your seatbelt, when you take it off, give you a warning?
Yeah, it beeps a lot. It's very annoying.
Well, you can turn that off.
Turn it off right now.
Turn it off. And just like that, we've removed a warning that Imran didn't want on his car. Your seatbelt reminder is off.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna take the seatbelt off and see what happens.
Oh my God.
Dude, nothing.
It worked.
Nothing. That's it. Got no chimes, baby, so.
Not that I drive without a seatbelt, but you know, it's just nice to have.
So there you go. You can code in some features that you didn't know that you had with the Kali scanner, as well as read some codes. If you guys want the Kali scanner for yourself, there's gonna be a discount code on the screen. Make sure you use that at checkout. And again, thank you to Kali for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to working on the Land Cruiser. We'll probably be able to get away with removing the top portion of the plenum to take the head off. There's just a lot of different wires in the way. Because I already took this off before to get to the injectors, I sort of know where everything goes. And I didn't show this as well, but we've been slowly deleting all the gas system stuff because we are completely eliminating gas because gas sucks. But there is just a bunch of different wires just chilling everywhere. This box I tried to delete and then that stopped the car from running. So I'm just gonna be taking my time deleting all the gas stuff as well as removing all the intake stuff. So yeah, let's keep smashing it out, baby.
Lachlan still says that he would rather have a GQ over one of these. I'd rather have one of these with a blown head gasket than a GQ. Wouldn't you agree?
TB versus 1FZ, I reckon 1FZ all the way. In order to remove the wiring harness, I needed to remove the top part of the intake plenum. There's a few bolts underneath, vacuum lines and coolant lines holding it on, and with the intake plenum out of the way, I could then remove the wiring harness. There it is. I also had to take the alternator off as we need to remove a bracket that's bolted onto the head, and then I got to removing the valve cover. I'm real keen to see what is hiding underneath this valve cover. Probably are gonna uncover some more nasties, but we're only gonna find out when we take it off. Just a bunch of 10 mils, and this thing will come off. Come on. That is probably one of the cleanest heads I've seen, which tells me that yes, this was definitely run on gas a lot of its life. Gas doesn't really leave any carbon or build up in the engine system, in the oil system anyway. So yeah, this thing was run on gas. That's why it's so damn clean. So I'm gonna pull the cams out. There's a trick to this. It's similar to a 1MZFE, which I've worked on before. There's like a spring-loaded gear, which you have to put a bolt through, because if you don't, then the gear flies apart. But we'll have a look at that, I guess, when we get to that. So just like some of you guys, I don't exactly always know what I'm doing. So here I am watching a YouTube video to make sure that I do this correctly. Essentially, I've got to put this to top dead center, then take the bolt out of the intake cam, and then put some zip ties all around the chain so we don't muck up our timing. Hopefully the timing is correct, I don't know. Yeah, let's see how we go. So I rotated the engine to top dead center, which means that piston number 1 is all the way at the top. And you can make sure that it's in top dead center by looking at the 2 dots on each cam gear. And I didn't record me putting in this special bolt, but you put this on the exhaust cam gear. I then removed the bolt holding the cam onto the cam gear. Oh, got it. And then it was finally time to start removing the cams in order to get to the head studs. So quite a bit of a sequence. This is why you can't just pull a motor apart without doing any research, because you can mess things up. But that's all right. That's why I'm a YouTube mechanic. Okay, we have basically everything out of the way now. The cams are out the way. They're just chilling over there. We're leaving the bottom part of the intake manifold on because it's very hard to get off with the motor in the car. So I'm gonna start releasing the head by loosening the head bolts with this beast of a breaker bar. Holy f***. You also have to remove the head bolts in sequence because you could risk damaging the head. And like I said, pretty difficult on a car this tall. Okay, so I've loosened all the head bolts and I've got help from some of the boys. Come in, boys.
Rex isn't very good at head. I'm good at head.
3 boys, 1 Land Cruiser.
3 boys, 1 head.
So this is it. We were about to find out all the reasons for why this car wasn't running correctly. All the boys on the Land Cruiser. I was very worried at this point. And I also forgot to loosen some stuff, so that's why you see me running around. Oh my god. That's good?
As usual, Rex does nothing, getting carried by his friends.
And here we are looking at the pistons, because obviously under the head, there's the block and the pistons. And everything sort of seems all right. We have the head off, and it's actually not looking too bad in here. No deep pits in the pistons or the walls. It does look like there's a few rust spots, but nothing that's gonna cause catastrophic engine failure, which is very ideal. So that's a W. We still don't actually know if the ring lands are bad, but I don't think they are, because it's very common for compression tests to come back bad when the valves are bad. Anyway, let's take this head gasket off. This head gasket actually looks fine as well. Doesn't look like there was any breaks in it, which is interesting. Whoa, crusty.
Nah, you're good, bro.
So, new head gasket. Oh, let's turn the head over. So I wanted to turn over the head so we could look at the valves, and then also put some fluid down there to see if cylinder number 4 and 5 were leaking the most, because that would confirm that our valves are leaking bad. Are they like brown?
Yeah, they're burnt to shit.
Oh, actually?
Half of them are black.
Yeah, they don't look too bad, god damn it. I mean, I'll spray some fluid in there, and we'll see if it comes out. Wait, the cylinder number 4 was bad. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Coming out?
Well, yeah. Oh, bro, it's pissing like no tomorrow.
Get the light on there. There's all our compression, boys. Number 5 was bad too. Coming out?
Yeah, man, it's done.
Oh my god.
Try the other ones.
I think this was the best one.
Yep.
Good?
That one's nothing.
Nothing? Okay. Number 1, 1 was kind of sus.
Seeping, but not bad.
Seeping, but not bad.
Yeah, it's seeping.
And then this one was better.
Seeping as well.
So they're all
Cylinder 4 and 5 are
job,
definitely
yeah.
the worst.
It's kind of good news, guys. Or so I thought, which you'll see why a bit later. We might actually be able to get away with just relapping the valves and not getting new ones, but we'll find out in a bit. When we take it to the head shop. Oh!
Yeah, that's cooked. Like 5 out of the 6 cylinders they're just pure leaking. They're not even holding any compression. Like I'm surprised we were even able to get it to start and sort of somewhat idle at all.
I mean, it was running on 4 cylinders at least.
Yeah, I've never seen it this bad before.
The next thing I needed to do was take it to a machine shop to assess and hopefully fix it. I was really hoping I would get away with a valve lap and a head skim, but I guess we'll soon find out when we get word back from the machine shop. Oh, move, bro, move!
I thought you said it was light.
I thought you were gonna move a bit quicker. So we're now back at the shop, and it's been a few days since we dropped the head off to our head shop, and unfortunately I received a few bad text messages from the head shop, and the head is not looking salvageable. So here are some of the photos of our head that we dropped off to the head shop, and you can see that the head shop has circled some photos of where the head gasket has actually failed. You can see that the water ports have become so rusty that they've actually eaten away at the head gasket, and that was what was potentially causing our bubbling in the previous video. The cooling system was probably seeing some sort of leak from the combustion going right into the cooling system, causing the bubbling. And of course, the water galleries in the head are extremely corroded. Now, Pete, who's the owner of the head shop, who we've been going to for a long time, told me that it basically wasn't worth fixing, and he followed that up with some quotes. Now, usually when I'm taking my cylinder heads to a head shop, it's usually very affordable, usually like $100 to $200 to skim the head, maybe another $100 to do the valves or whatever, but here are some of the quotes that we got. So we got $1,400, which includes a pressure test, new exhaust valves, machine the exhaust seats. This would get that head working and operating and function basically back to normal. However, guys, we bought this thing for $2,000. So this hurts. So obviously I've copped a major L. This is my first Facebook Marketplace loss, and It sucks, but it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. Anyway, there's a few different options that we have from now. We can buy another head from Facebook Marketplace that's hopefully in a bit of a better shape than the current one. We could pay Pete to fully restore the head that came off this engine and spend $1,400, or I could look for a whole new 1FZ At this point, I was kind of done with this motor, so I didn't bother getting the head repaired, so I think it was time to look for another motor. So back to Facebook Marketplace, baby. Oh! So I went straight on Facebook Marketplace, and luckily I found this engine in my state for not too expensive. He accepted my offer of $1,500, and Nathan and I went to where it was stored, and it turns out the mechanics knew who I was.
I'm behind on the other video. I haven't watched it yet.
Pretty average.
Don't ruin it. I want to watch it.
So we've got another motor, another 1FZ. Hopefully it's good. I have no idea yet. I'm taking a bit of a gamble. Anyway, the guys were super nice, and one of them gave us some spare gaskets that he had laying around, and then we put the engine in a ute that you might be familiar with. We borrowed our friend Yorak's ute, and then we got it back to the shop nice and safely. All right, we've got the new motor, guys, in the back of Yorak's ute. Yeah, boy. Look at that.
Hopefully this one's all right.
Okay, we've got the motor suspended in the air right now, thanks to the hoist arm. Look at this, guys. Pretty sketchy, but it works. So another motor for this cheap Land Cruiser. Now, it still could be a loss. I still need to check the compression of this engine, so fingers crossed this one's all good. Now, before I bought this motor, I took one of the exhaust manifolds off because there's actually two, just to have a look and see what the valves looked like on the exhaust side. And the valves were nice and dark, which tells me that this thing was probably ran on petrol. So the only real way that we're gonna be able to tell if this engine's okay is by doing a compression test, just like we did on the old one. And I've set up a little dodgy starter and cable. Of course, from this car, I took off the starter and cable from that car, and I've installed it onto this using a 17mm socket as a spacer and just a random bolt that was lying around. There we go. Fingers and toes crossed. About 150, it's pretty good. 150 again. I'm not gonna bore you with every single cylinder, but they all read similar, which is a very good sign. We have a motor with good compression. Thank God. So the compression is good in all 6 cylinders, which means that it's time to start taking the old motor out. Man, honestly, I never thought that I'd have to do something like this when I bought this car for $2,000. Obviously, I know what I bought. It was cheap, but like I said, I've been pretty lucky. I guess when some deals are too good to be true, they usually are. Actually, you know what? In my case, that's the opposite. Most of the deals that are too good to be true are actually true. But yeah, we're just gonna keep smashing this out. And hopefully by the end of this whole series, we have a running and driving Land Cruiser that has good compression. We've now got the car up in the air because we need to take the transmission off the engine, and this is going to be a bit of a tricky task because the bolts that are holding the engine onto the transmission are very difficult to get to. We've got all the bolts that are at the bottom, so most of them are out, but the ones at the top are going to be a bit more painful. And we don't have a trans jack, however, I've devised a solution. I'm gonna use this engine crane in order to hold up the gearbox because, yeah, we don't have any other option. There's no gearbox jack in this place, so yeah. In order to get to the top bolts that hold the engine onto the transmission, I needed to lower the transmission, and because I didn't have a trans jack, I used an engine crane. This actually worked quite well. Okay, so we've got the engine crane holding up the back of the gearbox. This is just gonna prevent everything from just dropping like crazy. Managed to get all the bolts holding the transmission onto the engine off by lowering it and using the engine crane. That was all actually really good. Now we're just removing the flex plate bolts, so I'll just show you on the other motor. So pretty much there's 6 bolts at the back of this flex plate holding this to the torque converter, and the only way we're able to take out the bolts is with this little inspection hole, and we need to rotate the motor to get to all of them. And you can't really see it, but that's where the bolts are. We are now officially ready to pull this engine out. I believe I have everything disconnected. I've even gone as far as taking off the wheels so I could get this thing as low as possible so there wouldn't be too much struggle. She's almost out for the new 1FZ FE, baby. What a journey. Holy moly, man. This is the last time this engine is ever gonna be in this Land Cruiser. This is probably one of the hardest engine removals that I've done because the car is just so big, everything's just so large. But we pushed through and we finally got the engine out. So the engine is finally out of the Land Cruiser, and that was not easy. It was actually very difficult to get out. There's a lot of stuff in the way, like the transmission cooler lines, all the wiring, the exhaust was sort of like in the way as well. You had to like tilt the motor a certain way to pull it out, and then obviously we didn't take the hood off, so that was a pain. You can see the overall condition of this motor looks actually all right. I'll probably just keep it for spare parts and just maybe, you know, strip and sell some of the stuff to make up for the cost of this damn thing. But before we start installing this 1FZ, we're gonna take some parts off to get clean because this thing is crusty, guys. It's definitely pretty disgusting. So we took off some parts and we headed down to the laser shop. Now, if you guys didn't see this video, I started a business with a few mates and we do laser cleaning. So mostly automotive restoration to do with metals. We brought all of our parts down and I'm gonna show you what our lasers are capable of. So let's clean some of the parts on the 1FZ FE. So guys, we are now here at Laser Cleaning Victoria and we are here to clean the 1FZ FE parts, and a lot has changed since we opened up, I think about 3 weeks ago, was it?
About that.
We've got a sign on the door now.
And a rusty door.
So if you don't know, we've essentially opened up a semi-restoration shop, and our biggest service is of course laser cleaning. The business has actually been going really well. We've had a lot of customers, a lot of you guys come down and support our shop. We've done quite a few jobs. We've done wheels, we've done four-wheel drive parts. And if you didn't watch that video where we explained that we have started this business, then go check that out. But basically, we have these laser cleaners. Essentially, what they do is they clean metal without physically touching the metal surface at all. So this is where it differs from like your bead blasting and vapor blasting. It doesn't actually physically shoot a substance at the material. And of course, because I run this business, I'm able to come down and clean parts from my crappy cars that I buy from Facebook Marketplace. Imran has actually been the guy nailing all the settings in and dialing them in.
Well, initially when we were actually looking up lasers, we thought it was just like a
Point and shoot, right?
We thought it was just a point and shoot, right? You just point and shoot and it disappears. But there's actually a lot of intricate settings applied with these lasers.
Yeah, there's like frequency, hertz, like power.
It's pulse, speed, scan width. Going into it, we had no idea about. It's like a trial and error kind of thing. Luckily, we did have a lot of spare car parts from Rexton.
Yeah.
We had a lot of time to practice before we're actually taking on customer work. Anyway, we'll demonstrate with the big laser, which is a 3000 watt laser, as compared to the small lasers, which are 300 watt. Yeah, we'll let you know how it goes.
So here are some before shots. Now these manifolds were extremely dirty and they had like a primer underneath. So there was like this white primer that was very difficult for the laser to actually get through. But after a bit of work, we got some great results. Now the heat shields came out absolutely fantastic. They were like almost brand new once we were finished. And the manifolds, because of that weird primer coating or clay, whatever was on them, they came out all right too, but we really rushed these because we just needed to get these done and we can definitely get better results on stuff that's on your car. Okay, so I'm gonna show you some before and afters of our laser cleaning. So this is one of the exhaust shields. See, it's pretty cooked. And this is after laser blasting. Look at the difference. So here is the before and after. Quite a massive difference, as you can see. Sorry if I'm yelling, I've got earplugs in, but look at that before and after. So we are now done with our headers. These look so much better than how they came in originally. We went a little bit hard on the lasers. We turned the wattage up quite a lot because there was a lot of pitting, a lot of rust. If you guys want work done like this, we are located at Unit 4, 273 to 275 Wickham Road, Moorabbin, Victoria. You can message us on Instagram, Facebook, give us a call or whatever. Come down anytime and maybe you'll catch me there because we're still setting up the business. Anyway, we installed the headers and we installed the heat shields. It's looking way cleaner. And now it's time to install the engine. So the wiring harness goes through the intake plenum, and I know this because I've taken and installed the intake plenum off the old motor like 3 times. So I'm gonna just take this off to make it easier to feed the wiring harness through once the motor's in the car, because obviously then I don't have to uninstall this leaning over the entire Land Cruiser. Luckily, super easy to take off. Oh, the coolant line. You good, Imran? And with the help of Imran and Peter, we installed the 1FZ from Facebook Marketplace into the Land Cruiser that we bought from Facebook Marketplace. What an absolute mission. The engine is finally sitting in there, bolted down, and we still have so much work to do to this thing. So the engine is now in the Land Cruiser. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We definitely copped a bit of an L, but I'm now committed in order to get this thing running so I could basically turn it into a tow rig and make it a utility vehicle. In the next video, we're gonna be basically putting the entire thing back together. So stay tuned, click subscribe, give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one. See ya.